I know there's quite a lot of boys who dance that as they grow up, experience bullying and may even quit dancing as a result of it. Surrounding yourself with people that don't judge you because you dance and are supportive of it can make a huge difference. Growing up with a mother that's a dance teacher certainly has its pros and cons. Sacrifices had to be made and I quit water polo at 13, quit ballet, jazz and tap dancing around the same time. If you ever think about quitting, the best thing I found I could do was remember why I started or why I came back after my year off in the first place. And to dancers who are thinking about auditioning and dancing in shows, I highly recommend it. What was it like winning nationals? Hi, I'm Liam Fitzgerald. I'm 16 years old and I have been a cast member of A Taste of Ireland since 2018. In this week's episode of Journey to the Stage, I'm going to share with you my experiences growing up as a male, both inside and outside of the world of dance, some of the obstacles I overcame, and the tools and tricks I used to do so. I hope you enjoyed my episode of Journey to the Stage. I started dancing when I was 3 years old, doing ballet, jazz tap, and Irish dancing. My mum owned a dance studio and my older sister danced there, so I started doing ballet, jazz, and tap under my mum's tuition at Sonja Dene Dance Studios. Two of my mum's best friends, who are my sister and I's godmothers, owned another dance studio, Halloran, where I started learning Irish dancing and still dance there today. As my mum owned a dance studio, my older sister was dancing, my godmother was a dance teacher, it was pretty much inevitable that I'd end up dancing. So I started Irish dancing when I was 3, and at 5 years old, I did my first states and nationals. I came third at states and I got an adjudicator's award at nationals. In the early years of my dancing, I was motivated a lot by my sister's success, as she won a national title and placed 5th at the North American Nationals at quite a young age. So this pushed me hard. This led to quite a bit of success when I was young, as by the time I was in the 9 years age group in 2013, I had won 4 state titles and a national title, which as a young kid I was stoked about. The following year in 2014, I travelled over to London for the World Championships, where I was the next person to recall. And then over the next few years, I got quite complacent and dropped out of the top 5 at nationals and hadn't won any more state titles. I didn't like losing, and this motivated me to try a lot harder and listen to my teachers more. In 2016, I headed over to the North American Nationals and placed 14th, which I was stoked about. I then returned home and placed 2nd at the States and 3rd at the Nationals. It was great for me to get 3rd after being out of the top 5 the year before, and after this, I started training for the 2017 World Championships, and I really wanted to recall after being so close the last time I went. I trained hard over summer for the World Championships, and perhaps I trained a little bit too hard as I started to get a sore back, so I went and got an X-ray and found out that I had 2 fractures on one of my vertebrae. This kept me out of everything for the year basically. At school, I just had to carry around a laptop. I couldn't carry around any books because the weight of the books was too bad on my back, and I didn't start dancing again until September. So there was no way I'd be able to do nationals less than a month from then. It was devastating not being able to do anything. I went to nationals though and competed in a few teams, but it was hard not being able to do solo, and yeah, it certainly wasn't easy watching my section dance. Coming back after this, I was getting quite frustrated as I was nowhere near as good as I was before my injury, and all my competition had improved quite a lot. And there were many nights after class where I contemplated whether I'd keep dancing or not, but I still had goals of winning states again and hopefully winning nationals again one day, so I kept at it. The next year, in 2018, I went on to win state for the first time since 2013, which was an amazing feeling as it had been so long since I had won it last, and it felt much better than any of the other state championships I had won, as I worked much harder for this, had a much bigger desire to win it that year than any of the other years, and coming back after not competing the whole year prior. Then I placed 2nd at nationals later that year, which I was extremely proud of. But being quite a competitive person, I still wasn't fully satisfied. The following year, which was last year, my sister moved home after living in LA and London for 3 years, and she really helped me and worked me hard along with my teachers to try and achieve what I wanted to, which was to win states and nationals. In July, I won my 6th state championship, and then in September at nationals, I finally won my 2nd national championship, 6 years after the first.
Our runner-up for this year is competitor number 104, Lachlan Stephanie from Fitzgerald School, Victoria.
The feeling when I had won was unarguably the best feeling I've ever had. Whilst I'd been dreaming of that moment for many years, I was still shocked, and it didn't really hit me until I was on the top block and I looked over at the back and saw my sister crying, and the feeling I got after seeing her and then seeing my dance teachers as they came on stage, it was pretty special. I still don't really know how to describe it. Growing up with a mother that's a dance teacher certainly has its pros and cons. Mum's always been able to help me stretch and condition my body, and whenever she taught me, she always had a great balance between mum and teacher in the class. She didn't focus in on me and not worry about the others or skip over me. She treated me like any other kid in the class, but still had that element of mother, which made my classes with her very beneficial and enjoyable. I loved my mum teaching me. Having a father that's a massage therapist also has its fairly obvious benefits, as I'm sure you can work out. Getting regular massages has helped me keep my body in good condition. Sometimes I get a bit annoyed when she constantly asks me if I've stretched or warmed up properly before a class, competition, or a sports game. And there were days when I was younger when I would have to go to competitions and watch ballet all day, but I'd certainly say that the positives outweigh the negatives. I know there's quite a lot of boys who dance that as they grow up experienced bullying and may even quit dancing as a result of it. Personally, I had a great group of friends that didn't care that I danced and were quite supportive of it. To them, I was just Liam that played football with them, played PlayStation with them, and yeah, I danced as well. I'm very fortunate to have had this, as I'm not sure whether I'd still be dancing if this wasn't the case. I think this is partly due to the fact that I still had a lot in common with most of the boys at my school. I was in the school football, AFL and basketball teams, and the skills that I developed from dancing definitely helped me in those sports. So me dancing was actually helping them win games, I guess. Surrounding yourself with people that don't judge you because you dance and are supportive of it can make a huge difference. The only time I ever received some stick from my friends was in 2018, when one Saturday morning I had the state championships for Irish at 10 AM, but I had my football grand final that morning at 9:30 AM. I chose to do state, and all morning I was so scared, not because of my competition, but because of the grand final that I was missing. But they went on to win it, so I guess they can't be too mad at me. When I meet some people for the first time, quite a few go, "Oh, you're the one that Irish dances," or "Oh, you're like an Irish dancer or something, aren't you?" Whilst it's never something I expected to be known for, it's quite funny and I just kind of embrace it. As a person, I've never been able to just lie down or relax. I could never lie in the sun or sit around at home doing nothing. I always had to be doing something. Whilst this was good in keeping me occupied, when they clashed it wasn't easy. Throughout my life, I've played football, basketball, rugby, AFL and water polo, not all at the same time, as well as refereeing football on top of school and dancing. Something I struggled with was time management, as there were only so many hours in a day and trying to fit all of these things in was impossible. Sacrifices had to be made, and I quit water polo at 13, quit ballet, jazz and tap dancing around the same time, and started playing lower level football in a team that trained just once a week. This enabled me to referee more on weekends, go to 3 basketball training sessions and 2 games per week, go to more Irish dancing classes, continue playing football, and maintain my increasing school load for year 11 and 12, which is what I'm happy doing now. Finding a balance and talking to your dance teachers, talking to your sports coaches, your school teachers, and letting them all know when you're unable to get work done or unable to go to training or go to class is the best thing to do, so that everyone's on the same page. It sounds cliche, but choosing to do what you love is what I found best. When you love doing something, you're willing to sacrifice parties, days out with your mates, etc., in order to make it all worth it and achieve your goals. If you ever think about quitting, the best thing I found I could do was remember why I started or why I came back after my year off in the first place. There were still goals, dreams and aspirations that I had, and this motivated me to keep going. One question I got off my Instagram was, what was it like winning nationals? I don't really remember too much of the first one, as it was nearly 7 years ago now, but I remember my number not being called out second, and a feeling of ecstasy rushed through my body, and then looking over at my family and my teachers who were all so happy. It was really special, as well as my best friend Ryan Yates won that year as well, so we got to do the Dance of Champions together, and being able to share that moment of both of us winning nationals, it was a great feeling. As for my most recent nationals, yeah, that was probably one of the best feelings I've ever had. It had just been so long since I last won, and I really don't like losing. I really don't like it. And yeah, the amount of effort that I put in, my family put in, and especially my teachers that they put in, it was really rewarding for it all to come off on the day. Another question I have was, have you always wanted to do show dancing? Being a part of shows is something I've always wanted to do. In 2011, I went to America and performed a couple shows at Disney World in Orlando, on a Carnival cruise in the Caribbean, and at the New York Mets baseball game, as well as taking some classes at Radio City Music Hall and at Disney World with some of the world's best choreographers. I have also performed in various shows through Pac-Man Productions and OP Productions, so yes, performing and not just competing was something that I've always had in mind. Irish show dancing was definitely a major goal of mine though, more than any other style of dance. In 2018, I was asked to be a part of the home cast of A Taste of Ireland, and I did my first show in December of 2018 in Sydney. Being in this show was an amazing experience with some incredible dancers and an achievement I was quite proud of. Later that summer, in January 2019, I performed with Pace Live Dance Company in their show Michael. With Michael, we had people come from Western Australia, Queensland, South Australia, Victoria, Canberra, New South Wales, and we learned an entire show in 4 days and performed it the following evening. That was an amazing and rewarding experience, as we were able to put a whole show together in less than a week and make some great friends from all around the country. In 2019, during A Taste of Ireland's biggest tour to date, I was fortunate enough to be asked to perform at Penrith, Wollongong and Chatswood. Being able to dance alongside some of the world's best dancers and perform for the large crowds at these venues in front of my family was incredible. In December of 2019, I went on my first tour with A Taste of Ireland as we travelled through Victoria and Tasmania. The time on tour was incredible, getting to travel around your country to some great places and perform for some incredible crowds was pretty special. Seeing people after the show and the joy that the show brought to them for that night was definitely the best part. The tour was one of the best experiences and most enjoyable moments of my life, and to dancers who were thinking about auditioning and dancing in shows, I highly recommend it. Being rewarded after all your hard work and sacrifices and getting to do what you love with some great friends is what makes it all worth it. I was Fitzgerald, and thank you for listening about my journey to the stage. Subscribe below to see next week's episode of Journey to the Stage, and hit the bell icon to be notified every time A Taste of Ireland upload a video.